So everybody turn on open data modeler. All right, I'm going to open the same project we did on Monday. So my desktop. That was called, what was it called? It's homework one. I don't know why they get this kind of. We have a bank.dmd. I thought that was the one we did last week. Did we do any ERDs on Monday? No, we did not. Okay. So let's just open up a bank.dmd. Do you have that in front of you? Doesn't matter if you don't, okay? Does not matter. So let's just open that. Okay, so yeah, actually we did that. We did authors, book, publisher, right? We did that. Yeah, that's good. Okay, so this is a homework answer. Just in case you want to check cardinalities and the mapping cardinalities and optionalities. All right, so I'm going to create a new model. So let's go to logical data model plus sign, and then create the new subviews. Okay, so then we are ready to create a new diagram. Now, the first example is pretty straightforward. It's a pretty common sense one. We are going to create a data model for capturing some kind of like a, say if you have a store, website store, you're trying to take customer orders, right? And then let's say what data you should have, right? So apparently you need the customers, right? I think we already built the customers before. So if you already have that one, do we have customers somewhere? We don't. Okay. Unfortunately, we don't. So let me just tell you, if you already have entities, you can just drag that to your screen, and then you don't have to repeat it. You redo it. Okay, so we don't have customers, so we just have to create a new one. Question? Just start with a new one. Yeah. All right, so let's start with a new one. So we're going to create customer object first. So for online store, so we're going to have a customer ID, my attributes. Okay, customer ID, say CID, and I will use layout logical, and then say char. So I will use maybe like 11 characters, and that is describing, that is our identifying attribute. So UID is, and then we need to get last name, first name, right?
Professor, I have a question.
Yeah.
About the subview. Mine doesn't have a plus sign. Is that common? Or next to it? It doesn't have a plus sign next to subviews for me.
No, just right mouse click on subview.
Okay.
Okay. Because you don't have any models yet. You can create a new one. Yeah. Get it?
Yeah, it's good now. Thanks.
Okay. So I'm going to use char again. So let's say there's 45 characters. Okay, let's say first name, last name will be required. Okay, and then that's last name, that's first name. Do the same thing, char. And then let's also do 45 chars. And then there's also mandatory. Okay, so the composite attribute full name is split into two. Now let's do address. Address will also have the split. So let's say street address. So let's make it 30 characters. Okay, and then that is also required because for online store, you have to have a shaping, right? You have to shape customer orders. So then city, let's just say also 25 characters. And that's also mandatory. And the state, I just use 2 characters, 2. And that's also mandatory. Okay. And the zip code. Zip code is typically typically 5 numbers, but sometimes you have a dash and also 4 optional numbers. So we'll have to use a char. Okay, and then let's say 10 characters. Okay. And then we need to have email, right? So that's very important. Email. And then let's say char. So let's say email maybe 32 characters. And then let's just say that's also required. And then for that, after that, you may also have password for customer to log in. So password is a char, and then let's say can have 42 characters. And let's say that's the optional, okay? Maybe some guest does not want to have an account. So password may be optional in that case. All right, we have done with customers. Now let's do second one. So customer products. So let's do product. PROD. And let's say attributes include.
Slow down, you're going extremely fast. I can't keep up.
Say that again.
Can you slow down? You're going way too fast. I can't keep up with anything.
Oh, you cannot keep up? Okay. For customers attributes? Okay, just a second. Let me finish this one first. So the order, that's SKU. SKU is char, right? So let's make it 14 characters. And that is UID, so primary UID, apply. All right, so let me go back to customer one. Customer attributes include just a bunch of common sense ones, like address and email, password stuff. All right, anybody else has a question? Zip code is a char, yeah. I use 10 letters. Just consider how many characters you need to store for each zip code, right? Typically 5, but sometimes you have dash and also additional 4 characters. Right? Password I made is optional, yeah. Okay, so now let's do product again. So we have SKU, and now let's say description. Description is, let's use the char. How many characters? So maybe have long, so let's say 50 characters. Okay. And then let's say it is mandatory. Yeah, maybe. All right, apply. And now let's add one more, that is a price. So price of product is a number, so we'll use numeric. Okay, so assuming that price can be up to like a couple of $1,000, so we'll use 6, 2. All right, 6, 2 decimal places, and 4 whole digits. Whole number digits. So in total, you can have up to $9,999.99 as maximum price. So for the price, I'm going to just say that is optional, but that does not have to be mandatory. All right, and then you can also, yeah.
For zip code in the last one, was that numeric or was that
Zip code should be characters because you have dash in the middle, right?
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Yeah. All right, so let's finish that. Okay. Is everybody okay? Online people, are you okay? Price I use 6, 2. 2 decimal places. Got it? All right, so now let's say we talk about the customer buy products. So the buy action, you have to turn into action entity. So we can call that transactions, or we can call that like order, right? So we can do order now. Okay, order, ORD. And the attributes include order number, order ID. So order ID, I will use char again. But this time, remember, we have 11 digits for customers, so we should have more digits for orders because one customer can have many orders, right? So we may make like 15 characters for order ID. Okay, so use the primary ID, the primary UID identifying one. All right, and now let's create other attributes. Say order date. That's a very important one, right? Let's say that would be data time, just date, or record date. Okay, and then let's say that is mandatory. And then let's create another one. Let's say promise date, P date. Promise date is also date, so logical date, and that just make it optional. So we don't have to make sure we don't have the promise date for everyone. All right, and then let's do one more. Let's say amount, total amount. So amount is going to be numerical again, and then you consider what is the maximum number for amount. So let's just also use 6,2. That means you can have something up to $9,999 in order. And let's say that is also optional. Okay, so we are done with that. Now we are ready to connect these three. Okay, so we have relationship. First of all, one customer can have many orders. Okay, so we can just pick up any one of this. I think there is already one which has one-to-many here. I think this is one, right? So we can use that one to connect customers with orders. Just simplify a little bit of work. So takes as a verb. Customer takes orders. How many? Many, right? And then does the customer have to have order? Not necessarily, so this is optional. Very good. And then order. Order is taken by customer. How many customer? Just one. That makes sense. If you have order, but do you have to have a customer? Yeah. Otherwise, the order is often order, right? So you cannot have often order. So this one is ready to go without changing anything. And then between order and a product, we have many-to-many relationship, right? So we can use this one to connect these two. Okay. And then let's say that would be what? Order contains or contains products, okay? Order contains many products in general, okay? And then a product can be contained by many orders, right? We're talking about a product which has same SKU, okay? It's not like antique stores. Each item has just one item. Each product ID has only one item. So if it's bought by one order, then it cannot be bought by another order. But here, for example, all these computers will be considered the same computer in the catalog, right? So these computers can be bought by University of Akron, can also be bought by some other places. Okay, so one product can be ordered by many others. All right. So is it necessary that every product will be bought by some orders? Is it necessary that every product is ordered by any orders? Not necessarily, right? Because maybe there's a product which nobody wants to buy. Okay. So we may have to make this optional too. Okay. And then press OK. All right. So we have that. And now let's say if you have how to handle payments. How to handle payments. So if you have order, then you're going to have a payments, right? Each order have one payment. So payment have like a payment date, payment amount, those kind of data you need to record. So we're going to create another entity just for payment. Okay. Okay. So let's just say that's the pay. Right. There's an attribute. Payment have PID, payment ID. And that should be also char. Let's also make it 15 characters because that's how we use for orders, right? And then that's also ID, UID. Okay, apply. And now let's say payment date. Okay, and then that is date. So let's make that as if you have payment, let's say that's required. Okay. And now we have payment amount, P amount. Okay, logical. And that's numerical. Okay, and then let's just say that is also 6,2. So that is also make it, well, if you have payment, that's all required. All right. So payment date, payment ID, payment amount, what else? Maybe like the payment method, right? So let's just create one more pay method. So whether it's a credit card or check or cash. So I will use char. And then let's say that's 20 characters indicating the method. And then let's also make the mandatory. Okay, so apply. There we go. Okay, now which one connects to payment? Which of other objects have relationship with payments? Customer make payments, correct? But what about order? Order should be also connected to the payments, right? Order is paid by payments. So actually, we're going to have two more relationships. One is customer and the payment. So I'm going to create one-to-many relationship between customer and the payments. Because so customer pays the payment, makes payment. So that's just a mix, okay? Mix. So one customer can make many payments, all right? And the customer may or may not make any payments. That's optional, okay? And then each payment is made by one customer, right? And if you have a customer, then if you have a payment, then you have to have a customer who pays for it, all right? So that's very important. So this is required. Apply, there we go. So we have one relationship. And now we also have relationship between order and the payment. So we can pick up any one. That relationship is actually, so order is paid by, let's say paid by, or we can just say is paid by. Okay, let's say is paid by. Okay, so order is paid by how many payment? One, right? One payment. And the payment, one payment pays one order. So that's a one-to-one relationship. All right. And now let's look at the optionality. Does every order have to have a payment? Maybe optional because maybe there's order which is like a free order. You know, sometimes people does not have to have a payment, right? Do you ever get those kind of free orders, free products? Yeah, if you're lucky, you sometimes get free products. Okay, so I'm going to just make it optional there here. But if you have payment, then definitely you'll have the payment is for order, right? So let's say this is required. All right, so this is required and this is optional. So this is a one-to-one relationship. Press OK. All right, so we are pretty much done with this relationship, with this model. And then the only one thing I want to add is, what if in an order, I can order certain product multiple quantities? Yes. Method is the char. I think I use 20 characters. Payment method is just like say credit card, check, okay, or cash. Okay, or you cannot do cash online. All right, so now let's say we will consider the question that what if you have ordered something like apples, for example, 5, quantity 5, okay, or maybe 5 pounds, okay, or you bought these computers, you bought 10 of these computers. How do you record these quantities? And we talk about that quantity actually depends on the order and also depends on the product, right? Does it make sense? Maybe in one order, I ordered 10 computers, and in another order, I ordered 5 computers, okay? So the quantity depends on which order you made and also which product you ordered. All right, so in that case, you have a data that is really describing this relationship, describing both, describing this relationship. So how do we handle that? So in that case, we are going to get rid of this relationship. Okay, then I will do that just a second. First of all, I'm going to create another entity called Gerund, which will just representing this relationship. Okay, I'm going to use another entity for relationship. So that would be, let's just call this line item. Line item, okay? So each order has multiple lines, right? And each line is called a line item, okay? So line item, let's just say li. So in the line item, we may have attribute like quantity, Q, Ty. quantity. And the quantity, I'm going to use numeric, okay? And then we use maybe 3, 1, just in case we have something like a 0.5 pounds or whatever, okay? So 3, 1 as data type. Okay, and then let's say, is that required or mandatory? We always just say that can be optional. It really does not matter. Okay, so we have kind of a, attribute. We will have some kind of a, this is basically just like a entity which represent the relationship, representing each order and product link. Okay, so you put all the links here, you get this kind of attribute, this kind of entity called gerund or associative entity. Associative object. Okay, so now we can get rid of this relationship, remove that, remove. So when you do remove, when you press delete, it asks you whether you want to delete or remove object or remove view. Remove view means you just remove this object or relationship from this current diagram. But actually, the underlying model is still here. Underlying object will be still here. Okay, but if you delete remove object, then it will be removed from your repository. So you will not have that anymore for other diagrams. Have a question?
Yeah, when I tried to add the attribute form, it says incomplete unique identifier.
No, you can. It's not a unique identifier. So just don't check unique UID. Let me double check and I remove that. Okay, I'm going to remove object. So here. So what I did is just simply just select, you can make it mandatory or optional, don't just not UID. Okay. So just check quantity, numerical, and then 3, 1. That's all we did. Okay, so what we need to do next is I'm going to connect, just represent the original relationship. I'm going to use 2 one-to-many in here to represent that, okay? So first one is, the second one is one-to-many. I'm going to connect to here. Okay. So now just imagine the order line. Each order has those order lines. Okay, has order lines. So one order may have many order lines, right? Okay, and order must have at least one order line, right? Make sense? Okay. And then each order line will be contained in one order. Okay. And order line will definitely have a order, right? So this is required. It's not optional. So make sure uncheck that. So there's this sometimes, is target optional or not. So no, it's not optional. There you go. Press OK. Now one more thing we need to do. This entity does not have IDs. You see? Object does not have IDs. Question. So what's the error message you get? Yeah, that probably is pointing to something else. I don't know what you dismiss that message, cancel that. Cancel. Can I cancel? Okay, so do it again. So just let you know that this entity, this is the so-called associative object, does not have a UID by itself. So you do not have, there's nothing describing each order line here. So what we need to do is I need to have ID from order to identify that, and also I need ID from product to identify that. So basically, if I have order and also product, then I will be able to identify that relationship, right? So this is what we need to do. We need to make sure that we check. There's something called identifying. Just a second. Line item. Identifying this relationship. So I'm going to check this box here, not here. Identifying. So actually, there's only one. This is in arc. Okay, so check this box. So basically, just make sure that you are going to ensure that this relationship is going to be used identifying this so-called associative entities. So now let me apply and see what's going to happen. Okay, when you apply, you will see that it will have a little bar attached to this end. Okay, so what does that mean is this thing does not have a UID, so it will have the borrow UID from all those to be described. Okay, and we can do the same thing for other one. So now let's connect. Use one-to-many connecting product to here, a line item. Okay, and the product, let's just say, is in the line item. Okay, the product is in how many line items? So one product may be in many line items. Okay, so there's many here. Okay, a product may or may not be in any line items because a product may have been ordered. May have never been ordered. So this is optional. Okay, and then next one, each line item will be for one product only. All right, and if you have line item, it will definitely for product. So this is required. And then we need to also check this identifying box. So indicating that the relationship is going to be used identifying that. And apply, there we go. So now we have this so-called gerund or associative entities, associative object, to representing data for relationships. Make sense? Okay. And that's it. So this, for this example, I'm going to just stop here. And now let me just tell you that do I have the example, the bank example? I don't have it in here. So remember bank, let me just do it on board, okay? Use the whiteboard. Clear. Okay, so this is what we did in the first class. So we identified what? Upside down, sorry. Okay, so we have customer. I'm going to skip those attributes, okay? And then accounts. And then we have transactions. And section, right? And then the relationship between then is customer owns many accounts. One account may be owned by multiple customers. So that's many-to-many relationship, right? And then the relationship between account and transaction will be one-to-many. One account may have many transactions, but one transaction is belong to one account. That's what we did in the first class, right? Now, let's say if I want to have data on the customer rule in their accounts. So maybe one customer is primary owner, other customers are secondary owners. So where do I indicate this primary or secondary rule with respect to customer and account? So again, this is a piece of data, whether it's primary or secondary, depends on customer and also depends on account, right? So it depends on both. Okay, so now you know how to handle that, right? So you should have a gerund in this case. So you should get rid of that. Okay, and replace by another attribute, maybe like account rule. Account rule. Okay, which has attribute called rule, right? Whether secondary or primary. And then you're going to connect this one with here with one-to-many and put a little bar here. And then connect this one to here and this little bar here. Okay, so that indicates that this is representing the original relationship you replaced. Now, but you originally have a line, you have no place to put data, right? But now you have a place to put data. Make sense? So this is called associative entity or associative object. Sometimes some books called gerunds. G-R-U-N-D. You know gerund, right? Is in grammatical terms, gerund is just like a verb converted into a noun, right? It's like walking, starting, all those are gerunds, right? Okay, here we can use the same name for that. Okay. All right, next, let me switch back to ER diagrams. Next, let's do one more example. This time I'm going to do library checkout system. Library checkout system, okay? So let's create a new diagram again. So subview, new subview. So subview is just pretty much like a new diagram, okay? So we are going to just handle university library. So we have a student. I think we already have a student. Do you have a student? You don't. Okay, let's just start from there. So if you do not have a student, so in my case, I just draw it here, drag that student, okay? So if you do not, just draw, just like create one. Just create an object.
What's that last attribute for student?
Last attribute is email. All right. And the library case, we also need a book, right? Actually, we have two different kind of books. We have book title and the book copy. So this is actually book title thing. So it has ISBN number, have title, have price, and also abstract. So that's book title. Okay, so we need to create another copy. Okay, so if you do not have a book, just create one quickly. So this was homework, right? We did that with homework. So now we already have it. Got it? Still working? So book has ISBN number, have title, price, and abstract. Got it? Good. Now let's create another one called book copy. Book copy. So let's just say book copy. So let's just say BC maybe. Attributes. We'll definitely have like a book ID, copy number. Copy number. And then that is some kind of like a 1, 2, 3 numbers. So use numeric. And then let's just say 2 digits. So you can have each book. You may have like 99 copies, right? No decimal, okay? And that's a part of UID. It's not a whole UID. And I explained that last class. So book copy 1, copy 2, those 1, 2, 3s. They just partially identify the book copies. You have the reference to the title for each book type copy to be uniquely identified. So I will still check as primary UID, just make sure that is a UID field. Okay, apply. And now let's just say, let's put some other attributes. For example, condition, book condition, okay? And I will use maybe vocal, variable call. Vocal. Do we have that? Yeah, variable shell. So just in case the description takes long, not many words to describe. Yeah, question. say NO is numeric because it's a book copy number. So copy 1, copy 2, copy 3. Make sense? So I will use numerical 1, 2, 3 to count as a number to partially identify each book copy.
But like, what's the code to get
Zip code is a number, however, you have a dash in the middle. Sometimes you have a dash. Okay. Okay. All right. So now let's say condition. I'm going to use maybe 1,000 characters. But since we are using varchar, that means in case you do not have a condition to describe, you can just leave it empty. So then the 1,000 space can be saved for other purposes. The database allow you to save space if you use varchar. But don't overuse varchar. Don't think that is good because you can always save space. But then what happens is that for varchar, it takes longer time to process. For database to process the varchar type of data. So I'm going to make this optional. Okay. And what else could be that? Could be in that copy? Maybe we have like a purchase price. Purchase price. So book has standard price, but sometimes when you buy it, you may have a different price. So if a customer lost the book, then the purchase price is going to be one you have to pay, right? So I'm going to say that's a numeric. Okay, so let's just say 4,2. Maybe like up to 9, or maybe 5,2. So books probably have like up to several $100. Okay. So let's say that is also optional. There we go. So now we indicate that there's a book copy, and they have relationship, right? So that relationship is a weak entity. So now let's say, how can we do weak entity here? And then we will do 1 to, first of all, we use 1 to many. One book has many copies, right? So 1 to many. Okay. And then book has copies. Okay, let's just use has. Each book has many copies, multiple copies. Okay. A book may or may not have copies. Can you imagine that situation? You know, there's a book title, but there's book library does not have actual copy. Okay, that's possible, right? Maybe the library does not feel, you know, has resources to buy the book. Okay, so we'll say optional. And then each book copy is on the one book, is for one title, right? Okay. And then if you have a book copy, then you definitely have a book. If you have a copy, you definitely have a book title. Okay, so this is required. And then we want to indicate that this is a weak entity because this copy number is not completely describing each copy. You don't have to require social SBN number to be uniquely identified. So in other words, these book copies will have to be uniquely identified through this relationship. So we will check identifying also. So now this is the second case. We check identifying a relationship. Okay. The first one was associative objects. You'll have to do that for both ends. Okay. And now weak entities, we do the same thing, use the same entity. So basically, this identifying just means that this relationship is going to be used identifying the one attached. Okay. And then apply. Now you see the same effect, the little bar. Okay, weak entity will have only one little bar here. But for gerunds, for associative objects, you're going to have 2 or more of these little bars. Okay. All right. So now we have student check out books, right? Check out the books. So we also need to have action. We need to have data on actions on the checkout. So we are going to create object for that. So check out. Okay. So let's just say this is CO attributes. Checkout, of course, have like transaction ID. And let's just use char for that. I will use 11 digits. And then that's a UID, the primary UID. Apply. Okay. Next, check out the date. check out data time. So that will be data time. So let's say that is mandatory. You have to have that. Okay. And then due date. Due. Due is also date. That's logical. Data time. So that is also required, maybe applied. Okay. What else? For checkout. Checkout date and the return date, due date. Okay. And then you may also have data on, say, who did the checkout, or employee. So employee is actually another object. So you should not put employee in here as attribute, because attribute cannot be foreign. Okay. So apply. Okay. So now, who can tell me what relationship between checkout and other things? Of course, students do checkout, right? Okay, so that is one-to-many relationship. So I'm going to use a one-to-many to simplify. Okay, one student does checkout. Okay, student does checkout. How many checkout? Many checkouts. A student may or may not have checkout, because some students may never need to borrow books. And then each checkout is done by one student. Okay. And if you have checkout, you will definitely have to have a student, right? So this is required. Okay, and apply. There we go. Okay, so there's checkout. Now checkout is connecting to which one? To book or book copies? To book or book copy? You check out actual copies, right? You not check out the book titles. You check out book copies. So you're going to connect checkout with book copy. So for that, the relationship is what? One checkout can have many book copies. One copy can be in many checkouts, right? Because this book after return can be checked out by another students. Make sense? So you have to think that your database is going to be used for many people, so for a long time. Okay. So we are going to use many-to-many to connect checkout with book copies. Okay. So book checkouts contains, maybe? Contains. Okay. Each checkout contains many copies, and each copy can be contained in many checkouts. So that's many-to-many. All right. A checkout will definitely have a book copy, so that's not optional. Right. A book copy may or may not be checked out. Is that possible? Yeah, some books may never be checked out. So this is optional, actually. Okay, and apply. There we go. So we have that relationship. Okay. Next. I don't have time for next. So if I have to have a reservation, so student resolve books. So you're going to resolve, you're going to turn that into our objects too. So maybe just create that as reservation, right? So students make reservations, and the reservation, in that case, will be connecting to which one? To book copy or to book? You resolve what? Title. You don't resolve copies, right? Because library will just give you whatever copy is available when you resolve the title. Okay, so I'm going to skip that. So basically, so you're going to have another object called reservation, connecting student with reservation, and reservation with book title. Is it clear, everyone? Anybody has questions online? Quiet? No question? Yeah. So go to File, say Save As. Okay, then make sure you save. So here, say I want to select to desktop, right? Put on desktop. And then I can put a name here. So this is, I just call this is what? We did what? We did. You can save to, yeah, you can save to documents too, yes. I will save to desktop for easy to find. And then I will just give a name. This is called student, that may be library, okay? Library. Okay, and then save. There's some kind of a nuisance error message, but actually it does not matter. I don't know what happened. Okay, so this is, so now if you go to your desktop, you should have you have to see one file called library and also one folder called library. So you need to submit both. Okay, if you need to submit project to me. Question?
So would that save both of those?
Yes, the whole thing, everything inside the project will be saved into that one place. Okay, and then now let's see the library folder here. And the library file should be also somewhere right here, okay? So you need to submit both, okay? And this time we have 2 students submit something that I could not open. I don't know what they submitted. I also have 2 students did not submit anything. Other than that, majority of students did pretty much excellently, okay? And I'm very proud of you because it's online class. I really worried that, there's something like communication obstacles in between us. Yeah.
So submitting just a JPEG with the
So if I specify submit a project, submit a project. But for the last one, I said you just submit a PDF, submit a picture file, right? You just submit pictures. Okay. Is it clear? So in this week class, you have two questions. One question is drawing these diagrams, so you can also submit pictures. But for the second one, you're going to do conversions. So we will do that Friday, and then after Friday, you can approach the second question. And then for that one, you can just do it using Microsoft Word. You can just put everything in one Microsoft Word. Put a picture on it first. Put a picture first, and then you actually data relational model. You convert it from your ERD into your Microsoft Word file. Okay, so you're going to write tables, right? What table has what's names, the columns, all that. I'm going to show you Friday. Okay, so you're going to just you put both answers to one Word document. Question? The homework will be due. No, oh, that's right. Homework will be due next Wednesday. Okay, because we do not have a class next Monday. So I need to change your online questions due time to Wednesday too. Okay. All right. Anybody has a question? Any other questions you may have? Okay. So if there's no questions, I will see you Wednesday. See you Friday. Okay.